The unshaken spirit. 15 Stoic strategies for navigating disrespect. Disrespect, an unwelcome companion on the journey of life, has the power to stir up feelings of agitation and distress within us. Whether it manifests as a blatant insult, a subtle disregard, or a deliberate provocation, disrespect can challenge our sense of self-worth and disrupt our inner peace. The Stoics, renowned for their wisdom and resilience, offer a timeless framework for navigating these challenging situations with grace and fortitude. Rather than succumbing to anger or seeking retribution, Stoic philosophy encourages us to cultivate inner strength, maintain our composure, and respond to disrespect in a way that aligns with our values and promotes our well-being. This exploration, delving deeply into Stoic principles and practical techniques, will uncover 15 powerful lessons designed to help you master the art of responding to disrespect. Through insightful commentary, relatable examples, and contemporary applications, we will learn how to remain calm in the face of provocation, discern the true source of disrespect, and uphold our integrity even when others fail to do so. These lessons, when practiced diligently, can empower you to navigate disrespectful encounters with unwavering poise, protect your inner peace, and ultimately transform these challenges into opportunities for personal growth and self-mastery. The essence of Stoicism lies in understanding the distinction between what we can control, our thoughts, actions, and attitudes, and what we cannot control, the behavior of others, external events, and the opinions of the world. By focusing our energy on the former and accepting the latter, we free ourselves from the tyranny of external forces and cultivate a deep sense of inner resilience. This journey towards navigating disrespect is not about suppressing our emotions or becoming indifferent to injustice, but rather about cultivating the wisdom and strength to respond in a way that aligns with our values and promotes our well-being. 1. The stillness within. Remaining calm and resisting retaliation. When someone insults, disregards, or provokes you, the instinctive urge to retaliate can be overwhelming. Anger flares, the desire for revenge surges, and the temptation to lash out becomes almost irresistible. However, the Stoics wisely counsel against succumbing to these impulses. Retaliating, they argue, only serves to inflame the situation further, perpetuating a cycle of negativity and potentially escalating the conflict. Instead, the Stoics advocate for a deliberate pause, a moment of conscious self-control before reacting. Take a deep breath, allowing the initial surge of anger to subside. When you feel your temper flaring, count slowly to 10, or try pressing your tongue to the roof of your mouth. A simple technique that can quickly calm the nervous system. Remember that lashing out aggressively, even if the urge feels justified, usually makes things worse in the long term. It is better to gather control of yourself first before responding, if a response is even needed. Beyond refraining from retaliation in the heat of the moment, avoid seeking revenge later on when emotions have cooled too. Trying to get even by passive-aggressively harming the other in return continues the cycle of disrespect. As Marcus Aurelius stated, the best response is not to become like the wrongdoer. Maintain your own principles and treat the other with dignity, even if they do not reciprocate at first. Your example can help elevate the situation. With patience and self-discipline, remain the calm eye of the storm when encountering disrespect. This level-headed strength often diffuses and transforms volatile situations better than reactive anger. Consider, for example, a scenario where a colleague publicly criticizes your work in a meeting. The immediate urge might be to defend yourself aggressively, pointing out their own flaws and shortcomings. However, a Stoic approach would involve taking a deep breath, pausing to collect your thoughts, and responding with calm assertiveness. You might say something like, "I appreciate your feedback, but I disagree with some of your points. I'd be happy to discuss this further with you privately to understand your concerns better." This response demonstrates self-control, avoids escalating the conflict, and allows you to address the criticism in a more constructive manner. It's also important to note that silence is sometimes the most powerful response. If the disrespect is clearly intended to provoke a reaction, refusing to engage can effectively disarm the other person and prevent the situation from escalating. 2. Unveiling the source, considering the perspective of the offender. As Seneca astutely observed, he who takes offense when no offense is intended is a fool. Yet he who takes offense when offense is intended is also a fool, for the wise man ignores insults. This quote encapsulates the importance of considering the source of disrespect before reacting. When someone is insulting or demeaning, pause to reflect before taking offense. Is their behavior a reflection of their own pain, insecurity, or ignorance, rather than an accurate judgment of you? Do they have unresolved issues skewing their reactions? Recognizing the potential motivations behind disrespectful behavior can help you to detach emotionally and respond with greater wisdom. In scenarios like customer service, recognize that disrespectful behavior often arises from stress rather than anything to do with you personally. Do not take transient interactions personally. Compassion for their suffering can help you let go of offense. More broadly, consider how people's perceptions and assumptions tend to say more about them than about external reality or others. Our subjective judgments are shaped by our biases and past experiences. What people attack in you often mirrors what they attack in themselves. Their disrespect does not necessarily imply any lack of merit in you. Keep inner faith in your value regardless of how anyone else behaves. Let it roll off your back while maintaining steadfast dignity and self-knowledge. The wise do not internalize insults. For example, imagine you are on the receiving end of a rude comment from a stranger. Instead of immediately taking offense, consider the possibility that this person may be having a bad day, dealing with personal struggles, or simply lacking in social skills. Their behavior may be a reflection of their own internal state, rather than a deliberate attempt to insult you. By recognizing this possibility, you can choose to detach emotionally and avoid taking the comment personally. Similarly, if a family member consistently criticizes your choices, consider the possibility that they're projecting their own insecurities or unfulfilled dreams onto you. Their behavior may stem from a place of love and concern, albeit expressed in a misguided way. By understanding their motivations, you can respond with greater empathy and avoid getting drawn into a cycle of conflict. 3. The greater path, embodying the bigger person. When insulted or mistreated, the natural inclination is to respond in kind, to meet disrespect with disrespect. However, the Stoics advocate for a different approach, one that involves rising above the urge for retaliation and embodying the qualities of the bigger person. Pause before reacting negatively, and see the situation as a test of your principles and resilience. Find the wisdom and strength to rise above the urge for retaliation. Reply with calm assertiveness rather than aggression. You can set clear boundaries and protect yourself without stooping to insults or meanness in return. Make reasonable requests for change behavior, but don't demand or command. If the disrespectful behavior persists, know when to walk away temporarily or permanently from the situation and relationship, but do so with integrity, not explosive venting or passive-aggressive parting shots. Maintaining poised respectfulness when provoked transforms not just the conflict, but your own character. Each difficult interaction contains an opportunity to demonstrate principles of understanding, patience, and courage. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "To bear trials with a calm mind robs misfortune of its strength and burden." Disrespect loses its power to disturb you when you face it with virtue, led by uplifting example. For instance, imagine you are dealing with a difficult customer who is being rude and demanding. Instead of reacting defensively or arguing back, take a deep breath and remind yourself of your commitment to providing excellent customer service. Listen patiently to their concerns, acknowledge their frustrations, and do your best to find a solution that meets their needs. Even if they continue to be disrespectful, maintain your composure and treat them with courtesy and professionalism. This approach not only de-escalates the situation, but also demonstrates your own strength of character and commitment to your values. Similarly, if you're being gossiped about or unfairly criticized by a colleague, resist the urge to retaliate or engage in similar behavior. Instead, focus on doing your best work, treating others with respect, and letting your actions speak for themselves. This will not only protect your reputation, but also demonstrate your own integrity and maturity. 4. The inner citadel, focusing on your circle of influence. As Epictetus wisely observed, it's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. This principle lies at the heart of Stoic philosophy and provides a powerful framework for navigating disrespectful situations. When insulted or mistreated, avoid wasting energy on trying to change the other person or ruminating endlessly about the situation. You cannot dictate their attitudes or behavior, but you have full agency over your response. Ask yourself constructive questions like, how can I handle this with composure and ethics? What can I learn from this about myself and my principles? What is the most dignified way to move forward? Channel your power into the sphere of influence available, staying rooted in values, acting with integrity, calmly advocating for fair treatment when viable, and controlling the message you tell yourself. Of course, seek to improve circumstances through reasonable action when feasible, but without attachment to controlling uncontrollable things like someone else's conduct. Serenity comes from focusing only on what is within your power. Disrespect may be unavoidable at times, but you always can choose whether to respond with wisdom and principle or react with disturbance and blindness. Your control begins within. This lesson is about recognizing the limits of your influence and focusing your energy on what you can control: your thoughts, actions, and attitudes. For example, imagine you are being subjected to microaggressions or subtle forms of discrimination in the workplace. While you may not be able to change the attitudes or behaviors of those who are perpetrating these acts, you can control how you respond to them. You can choose to document the incidents, seek support from trusted colleagues or mentors, and calmly advocate for fair treatment. You can also focus on your own professional development and strive to excel in your work, demonstrating your competence and challenging the stereotypes that may be underlying the discrimination. Similarly, if you are in a relationship with someone who is consistently disrespectful, you can choose to set clear boundaries, communicate your needs assertively, and ultimately decide whether the relationship is worth continuing. 5. The unreachable shore, accepting the inevitability of disapproval. No matter how kind, skillful, or wise you are, some people inevitably will be disrespectful or dislike you. This is beyond your control. Reflect carefully on the root causes. When someone treats you disrespectfully, why does their behavior perhaps stem from vastly different values, worldviews, and experiences, rather than anything about you personally? Remind yourself people have a right to their preferences and opinions, even if they differ from your own. You need not take differences of taste as personal affronts. There are countless factors outside your influence. Of course, reflect on feedback to consider if you have room to improve your conduct, but not all criticism is fair or accurate. Discern mindfully which reflects inner issues of the critic versus your own shortcomings. As the Buddha taught, some will hate you, some will love you. This is beyond your control. Do your best to treat all kindly, but accept you won't be everyone's cup of tea. Make peace with this inevitability. Your worth is not dependent on pleasing the whole world. Stay grounded inwardly, following your own conscience. Manage your emotions skillfully when disliked, but don't expect universal approval. It cannot be forced. This lesson is about releasing the need for external validation and accepting that you cannot please everyone. It is about cultivating a sense of self-worth that is independent of the opinions of others. For example, imagine you're an artist or a creative professional who is putting your work out into the world. You are bound to receive criticism, rejection, and even disrespect from some people. It is important to remember that not everyone will appreciate your work, and that their opinions are a reflection of their own tastes and preferences. Do not take their criticism personally or let it discourage you from pursuing your passion. Focus on creating work that is authentic to you and that you are proud of. Similarly, If you're a public figure or an advocate for a particular cause, you're likely to encounter opposition and even hostility from those who disagree with your views. It is important to remain true to your values and to continue speaking your truth, even in the face of disrespect. 6. The reflective mind, seeking validity in criticism. Stoics know we all have flaws and room for growth. Handle even disrespectful feedback thoughtfully. When someone attacks or mocks an element of your character, avoid knee-jerk defensiveness. Pause and review their feedback rationally once emotions have settled down. Ask yourself, might this criticism highlight a genuine weakness in me, even if the delivery is harsh? Be open to usefulness of message. Is there any room for improvement or virtues to cultivate related to the flaws they pointed out? Do an honest self-inventory before rejecting criticism outright. Of course, not all feedback is accurate or worthy of integrating. Use discernment to determine what comes from their own issues versus your genuine shortcomings. Consider the source's wisdom and motivations before fully accepting their critiques. Thank those giving constructive feedback, even painfully so. There is opportunity for growth even in hurtful remarks if you search for the lesson with humility. Our enemies often point out weaknesses our friends gloss over to be kind. The Stoics know we are all imperfect and have room to improve ourselves each day. Even from disrespect, wisdom can emerge if you listen for it. Handle feedback with rational discernment rather than dismissing our critique as simply unfair. This lesson is about cultivating a growth mindset and viewing criticism as an opportunity for self-improvement, even when it is delivered in a disrespectful manner. For example, imagine you receive feedback from your boss that you are not communicating effectively with your team. Your initial reaction might be to become defensive and dismiss the feedback as unfair or inaccurate. However, a Stoic approach would involve taking a step back, acknowledging the possibility that there may be some truth to the criticism, and reflecting on your communication skills. Ask yourself if there are specific areas where you could improve, such as being more clear, concise, or empathetic in your communication. Seek feedback from trusted colleagues or mentors and be open to their suggestions. This will not only help you to improve your communication skills, but also demonstrate your willingness to learn and grow. Similarly, if you are in a relationship with someone who is consistently critical of your appearance or your habits, try to separate the disrespectful delivery from the potential validity of the feedback. Ask yourself if there are any areas where you could improve your health, hygiene, or personal style. 7. The short memory. Choosing forgiveness over resentment. Feelings of anger and desire for retribution are natural when insulted or mistreated, but holding resentments rarely benefits you in the long run. It chains you energetically to the one who hurt you. Ask yourself whether a slight disrespect really merits your ongoing distress and demand for vengeance. Is it better to simply forgive unskillful behavior that was not deeply malicious and move on? As Marcus Aurelius put it, the best response is not to become like the wrongdoer. Wish them well instead. Forgiveness demonstrates courage and principles. Of course, some acts of disrespect cross lines requiring accountability or removal from your life. Use wisdom to discern unhealthy patterns necessitating boundaries from simple misunderstandings warranting grace. But for minor disputes, a short memory often serves happiness. As Epictetus said, we should control our anger and restrain it in narrow bounds, lest it become our master. Avoid blown conflicts. The respectful and wise know all people sometimes speak or act unskillfully, but kindness, patience, and forgiveness heal rifts. Renew your spirit by releasing lesser offenses. Choose your battles judiciously. This lesson is about cultivating a sense of forgiveness and releasing the emotional burden of resentment. It is about recognizing that holding on to anger only harms ourselves, not the person who wronged us. For example, imagine you are involved in a minor disagreement with a neighbor over a parking space or a property line. Instead of escalating the conflict and holding on to resentment, choose to forgive the offense and move on. This will not only prevent the situation from escalating, but also free you from the emotional stress of holding on to anger. Similarly, if you're slighted by a colleague at work or a friend at a social gathering, choose to let it go and focus on the positive aspects of your relationships. This will prevent minor offenses from poisoning your relationships and allow you to maintain a sense of inner peace. 8. The guiding light. Surrounding yourself with respectful individuals. Carefully audit your relationships and social circles. Do some individuals routinely act dismissively or demeaning toward you? Do they fail to appreciate your worth? Consider limiting contact with those who bring out the worst in you. Even if disconnecting completely isn't feasible, such as with difficult family members, try to minimize time spent together, interact only briefly, and under controlled conditions where possible. Manage your exposure. Fill your life, instead, with those who treat you with basic decency while encouraging your growth. Those resonating with your values make all the difference. Good company uplifts your whole being. Of course, have compassion even for toxic people, but protect your energy too. Relationships should empower both parties, not drain one. You teach others how to treat you by what you tolerate. Surround yourself with those who see your light rather than cast shade upon it. Life opens up exponentially when you let some connections recede to make room for fulfilling bonds aligned with your highest self. This lesson is about cultivating a supportive and respectful social environment and limiting your exposure to those who are consistently disrespectful or toxic. It is about recognizing that the people we surround ourselves with have a profound impact on our well-being and that we should choose our relationships wisely. For example, if you have a friend who consistently puts you down, criticizes your choices, or makes you feel bad about yourself, it may be time to distance yourself from that friendship. Explain to them that their behavior is hurtful and that you need to prioritize your own well-being. If they are unwilling to change their behavior, it may be necessary to end the friendship altogether. Similarly, if you have family members who are consistently disrespectful or critical, you may need to limit your contact with them. This does not mean that you have to cut them out of your life entirely, but it may mean setting clear boundaries and limiting the amount of time you spend together. 9. The empty echo. Avoiding excessive complaining and gossip. Venting often makes you dwell on negatives and gives the situation more power over you. Of course, share disrespectful incidents with close confidants who offer healthy support and perspective, but avoid fixating endlessly to anyone who will listen. This reinforces victimhood and negativity. When you feel the urge to gossip or complain arise, pause first. Consider if this is truly serving your growth or just spreading more toxicity. There are often better uses for your time and energy. Venting discontent can easily become a bad habit when disrespected. But as Seneca said, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Excessive complaining magnifies hurt. Shift focus to constructive action instead. Look for the learning in difficulties rather than just telling tales of woe. Frame experiences neutrally as opportunities to demonstrate virtues like forgiveness, courage, and patience. When communicating, avoid words that blow up the significance of the disrespect. Be wary of confirmation bias in commiserating with those who only agree with your perspective. See the bigger picture. Speaking of grievances can release emotions in the short term, but keeps you stuck in victimhood. Handle difficulties philosophically within yourself rather than amplifying negativity outwardly. This lesson is about cultivating a positive and proactive mindset and avoiding the traps of excessive complaining and gossip. It is about recognizing that dwelling on negativity only reinforces negative emotions and prevents us from moving forward. For example, if you are being mistreated by a colleague at work, avoid spending all your time complaining to your friends and family about the situation. While it is important to seek support from trusted confidants, dwelling on the negativity will only make you feel worse and prevent you from taking constructive action. Instead, focus on identifying solutions to the problem, such as documenting the incidents, seeking support from HR, or setting clear boundaries with your colleague. Similarly, if you are experiencing a personal challenge, avoid spending all your time gossiping about it with others. Focus on identifying solutions to the problem seeking support from trusted friends or family members, and practicing self-care. 10. The unbreakable barrier, maintaining emotional distance. When someone insults you, recognize it says more about their issues and character than your value as a person. Their opinions come from their subjective perspective, not any absolute truth. Don't take attacks personally. Keep inner faith in your own worth and principles regardless of others' conduct. Their disrespect does not actually diminish your value. Remain grounded in self-knowledge rather than looking to them for validation. Of course, no one enjoys being attacked, but the impact on your spirit is within your power to manage. As Marcus Aurelius advised, choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed and you haven't been. Do not allow the shortcomings of others to become your own by permitting their words to infiltrate how you see yourself. You remain fully in control over your dignity and inner peace. Externals cannot penetrate your mind and heart without consent. Keep your spirit elevated beyond reach of unjustified criticism. This lesson is about cultivating a sense of emotional detachment and recognizing that other people's opinions and behaviors do not define your worth. It is about remaining grounded in your own self-knowledge and refusing to allow the negativity of others to penetrate your inner peace. For example, if you're being criticized or judged by someone you do not respect or admire, remind yourself that their opinion is simply a reflection of their own subjective perspective and does not necessarily reflect your true worth. Focus on your own values, principles, and accomplishments, and do not allow their words to shake your confidence. Similarly, if you're being subjected to harassment or abuse, it is important to remember that the abuser's behavior is a reflection of their own pathology and does not mean that you are deserving of such treatment. Seek support from trusted friends, family members, or professionals, and focus on protecting your own safety and well-being. 11. The steadfast compass, upholding integrity and values. When insulted or mistreated, it's tempting to betray your principles in reaction, maybe demeaning them back, sabotaging their reputation, or even groveling for validation. But these reactive ploys only diminish your worth further. Rather than playing their game, stand firm in who you are. Keep exemplifying kindness, understanding, and fairness, even if the other does not reciprocate. In a frustrating conflict, do not let their behavior drag you down. As Epictetus put it, dare to look up to God and say, "Make use of me for the future as thou wilt. I am of the same mind, I am one with thee. I refuse nothing which seems good to thee. Have faith in your higher purpose." Of course, be willing to examine your own conduct to see if you have room to improve, but do not abandon your core principles or adopt unethical behavior. Compromise on superficial matters, but not your soul. Staying rooted in your wisdom and conscience earns self-respect and integrity. These become your steady anchor in any stormy conflict. Handling disputes with rational virtue reveals true strength and maturity. This lesson is about remaining true to your values and upholding your integrity, even when faced with disrespect or mistreatment. It is about refusing to lower yourself to the level of those who are behaving badly, and instead choosing to act with kindness, understanding, and fairness. For example, if you are being pressured to compromise your ethics at work, resist the temptation to give in to the pressure. Stand up for your principles, even if it means risking your job or your reputation. This will not only earn the respect of others, but also strengthen your own sense of self-worth. Similarly, if you are being treated unfairly by a friend or family member, refuse to retaliate or engage in similar behavior. Instead, communicate your needs assertively and set clear boundaries. This will demonstrate your commitment to your own well-being and your refusal to be disrespected. 12. The balanced approach, politeness with self-assertion. Default to being courteous and extending basic respect to those who mistreat you. Take the high road, but avoid allowing harmful behavior to continue unaddressed in the name of peacekeeping. Passivity backfires. When disrespected, first call it out politely. "Please do not speak to me that way," or "those remarks were hurtful and unjustified." Give them opportunity to recognize and adjust their conduct. Assume good intent initially. Be firm and fair in establishing your boundaries. Of course, remove yourself immediately from any interaction turning verbal or physically aggressive. Do not remain mistreated for sake of etiquette, but even then part ways while upholding your own authority and principles. Find power in embodying essential dignity for yourself and all people. With principled courage and highest mutual care, much conflict can be transformed, led by drawing out the angels in human nature. This lesson is about finding a balance between being polite and respectful and standing up for yourself when necessary. It is about setting clear boundaries and communicating your needs assertively, while also maintaining a sense of compassion and understanding. For example, if a colleague is interrupting you frequently in meetings, you can politely but firmly assert yourself by saying, "Excuse me, I wasn't finished speaking. I'd like to finish my thought, please." This communicates your need to be heard while also maintaining a respectful tone. If they continue to interrupt you, you can escalate the situation by saying, "I've asked you to stop interrupting me. If you continue to do so, I will need to address this with our manager." Similarly, if a family member is making disrespectful comments about your appearance or your lifestyle, you can politely but firmly set a boundary by saying, "I understand that you have your own opinions, but I would appreciate it if you would refrain from making comments about my appearance/lifestyle. I find them hurtful." 13. The limits of influence. Accepting what you cannot compel. When disrespected, it is tempting to reactively blow up or cave in, trying to coerce respect through intimidation or obsequiousness. But these strategies undermine self-worth further. Authentic respect cannot be compelled. Understand that other people's choices to be polite or not ultimately stem from their own judgments and internal state. Your attempts to control their behavior externally only lead to frustration and loss of personal power. Focus instead on self-respect, upholding your own standards of integrity independent of how anyone else chooses to act. Led by example through demonstrating principled, rational responses that speak for themselves. As Gandhi said, "I cannot teach you violence, as I do not myself believe in it. I can only teach you not to bow your heads before anyone, even at the cost of your life." Stantal internali. When you remain composed and ethical amidst mistreatment, you earn self-respect through courage and virtue. Your inherent dignity shines bright enough to inspire it in others when conditions allow. Nurture it first within. This lesson is about recognizing that you cannot force others to respect you and that true respect must be earned, not demanded. It is about focusing on your own integrity and self-respect, rather than seeking external validation. For example, if you are dealing with a difficult boss who is consistently disrespectful, you cannot force them to change their behavior. However, you can control your own response to their behavior. You can choose to remain calm and professional, to set clear boundaries, and to focus on doing your best work. By demonstrating your own integrity and self-respect, you may eventually earn their respect, or at least minimize the impact of their disrespect on your own well-being. Similarly, if you're being bullied or harassed, you cannot force the bully to stop their behavior. However, you can control your own response by seeking support from trusted friends, family members, or professionals, and by taking steps to protect your own safety and well-being. 14. The silver lining. Focusing on the positive amidst negativity. When insulted or mistreated, it's easy to fall into self-pity and dwell on negatives. But wallowing in victimhood tends to breed more unhappiness, not conflict resolution. Counterbalance it with gratitude. Make a list of your positive qualities and valuable contributions. Remember all the people in your life who do love, respect, and support you. Review your achievements and capabilities. Consider the disrespectful person's own positive attributes as well. Their flaws likely coexist with good intentions and virtues in areas you lack information about. Assume fundamental human dignity. Sit with the reality that you have gifts to offer and are worthy of respect just for being you, but release attachment to receiving it from every person. Peace comes from within, not needing validation. Focusing on the light during times of darkness provides perspective and protects against distorted thinking. Be proud of your merits while having compassion for those unable to appreciate them fully, at least for now. As Carl Jung put it, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. Your circumstances and treatment do not define your worth. Shine on, undeterred. This lesson is about cultivating a positive and grateful mindset, even in the face of disrespect or mistreatment. It is about focusing on your own strengths and accomplishments and remembering the people who love and support you. For example, if you have just experienced a setback at work, such as being passed over for a promotion or receiving negative feedback, resist the urge to dwell on the negative aspects of the situation. Instead, focus on your accomplishments and the positive contributions you have made to the company. Make a list of your skills and talents, and remind yourself of all the challenges you have overcome in the past. This will help you to regain your confidence and to approach the situation with a more positive mindset. Similarly, if you're being treated unfairly by a friend or family member, focus on the positive qualities that you appreciate in them and remember the good times you have shared. This will help you to maintain a sense of compassion and understanding, even in the face of disrespect. 15. The timeless perspective, embracing the long view of life. When embroiled in conflicts or mistreated, recall times in your past you overcame similar trials, even if they felt devastating in the moment. You are stronger than you know. This too shall pass. Look at difficult scenarios as opportunities to demonstrate principles of understanding, resilience, and grace under fire. How you respond defines you more than what happens. Endure nobly like the greats you admire. Consider how petty occasional disrespect will seem in 10 years' time of all the experiences shaping your life. Don't exaggerate one's significance. Keep perspective. Of course, take reasonable steps to establish healthy boundaries and uphold justice, but do so patiently, rooted in the bigger picture. Temporary conflicts need not derail you from your higher aims. Respond to trials with wisdom of one who has overcome greater ordeals. Allow life's brevity and eternity to frame each insult in perspective. You remain forever. This lesson is about cultivating a sense of perspective and recognizing that the challenges you are facing today are temporary and will eventually pass. It is about focusing on your long-term goals and values, rather than getting bogged down in the day-to-day details. For example, if you are experiencing a difficult period in your career, such as a job loss or a period of unemployment, remind yourself of the challenges you have overcome in the past and of your long-term career goals. Focus on developing your skills, networking with potential employers, and maintaining a positive attitude. This will help you to weather the storm and to emerge from the challenge stronger and more resilient. Similarly, if you are experiencing a difficult relationship with a family member or a friend, remind yourself of the long-term value of that relationship and of the importance of forgiveness and understanding. Focus on communicating your needs assertively, setting clear boundaries, and maintaining a sense of compassion for the other person. Key takeaways: the Stoic path to responding to disrespect. As we conclude this exploration of Stoic strategies for navigating disrespect, let's summarize the key takeaways into a practical roadmap for cultivating peace, resilience, and self-respect. Remain calm and control your reactions. Resist the urge to retaliate or react impulsively. Take a deep breath. Pause to collect your thoughts and respond with calm assertiveness. Consider the source. Understand that disrespectful behavior often stems from the other person's own pain, insecurity, or ignorance, rather than from any inherent lack of worth in you. Be the bigger person. Rise above the urge for revenge and embody the qualities of understanding, patience, and courage. Focus on what you can control. Channel your energy into controlling your own thoughts, actions, and attitudes, rather than trying to change the other person or the situation. Accept that you cannot please everyone. Release the need for external validation and accept that some people will inevitably be disrespectful or dislike you. Seek validity in criticism. View criticism as an opportunity for self-improvement, even when it is delivered in a disrespectful manner. Forgive and let go. Release the emotional burden of resentment by forgiving those who have wronged you. Surround yourself with respectful people. Cultivate a supportive and respectful social environment, and limit your exposure to those who are consistently disrespectful or toxic. Avoid excessive complaining and gossip. Focus on constructive action rather than dwelling on negativity. Maintain emotional distance. Recognize that other people's opinions and behaviors do not define your worth. Uphold integrity and values. Remain true to your principles and act with kindness, understanding, and fairness, even when faced with disrespect. Be polite and professional, but stand up for yourself. Find a balance between being courteous and respectful and setting clear boundaries. Realize you cannot force others to respect you. Focus on self-respect, upholding your own standards of integrity, independent of how anyone else chooses to act. Focus on the positives. Cultivate a positive and grateful mindset, even in the face of disrespect or mistreatment. Take the long view. Recognize that the challenges you are facing today are temporary and will eventually pass. By integrating these Stoic principles into your daily life, you can transform disrespectful encounters into opportunities for personal growth, cultivate unwavering inner peace, and navigate the world with grace, fortitude, and unshakable self-respect.